predation. I wish I knew how to read. I feel like I have no personality. My personality is just reading. That's it. So good. In another life, I was a ballerina. However, not in like a Black Swan sort of way or this type of book way. More like Barbie, Swan Lake. Oh man, how do people do this? Is YA. I don't want to. Nope, take that out. Next up, I wish I could talk. Hi everyone, it's Emily here. Welcome to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. Today I figured there's no time like the present to talk about what I want to read in 2022 as it is rapidly approaching. Hey, it's editing me. So I recorded this before 2022 occurred and it is now like halfway through January of 2022. So like ignore any comments made that make it seem like I just didn't get around to editing it. This past year, I spent a lot of time figuring out what I do enjoy reading and have figured out more of my tastes. So I'm super excited for 2022 because I think I have more of an understanding of who I am as a reader and what I enjoy to read and what I genuinely want to spend my time on. You will see there's a full book cart and a stack of books beside me. And listen, we all know buying and reading books are two very different hobbies, and I will tell you, I really excelled at the buying books hobby this year. The reading books, I did pretty good, but I still have a lot of books I own that I haven't read yet. So, without further ado, let's get into my TBR for 2022, aka all of the physical books I own that I want to read. I have no idea how many books there are, so we are just going to kind of rapid fire them. I like to go into some books completely blind. Other books have been greatly recommended to me, so I know a little bit about them already. So I cannot confirm that I will be able to tell you all about the books I am going to read, but once I read them, I can tell you. To start off, we have two books that I got for Christmas this year, Castaway, Poems for Our Time by Naomi Shihab Nye, and Amanda Gorman's poems called Call Us What We Carry. I'm a huge poetry fan, and I've been a huge poetry fan for a very long time, so I'm really excited to read these two by really inspiring women. I would like to tell you that this order is going to make sense. It's not. It's not at all. This is such a random, weird order, but you're the one watching, so thanks. Next up is American Royals. This is a YA book, and it is about if America had a royal family and the drama that ensues. And I also know that this is a series, I think. I saw that there's a second one out at least. So I'm super excited. I got this after I watched Bridgerton. So I hope it kind of brings the same drama. Another YA is Counting Down With You. I am super excited about this one. I have followed the author on TikTok for a very long time, and I have heard nothing but good things about this fake dating romance. In the same vein, an adult romance, First Comes Like. I think this is accidentally part of a series, and I didn't read the others. So we're just gonna go into it blind and enjoy it. But there's good representation in this, and if anything, in 2022, I want to read good, diverse representation in books and not just white books over and over again. The Inheritance Games, another YA. It's like a big game of Clue to earn an inheritance, and that's all I know, and that's all I want to know. Stags, which is another YA mystery thriller type of a book. With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. I read Clap When You Land this past year, and it was stunning and beautiful. The writing was so interesting and engaging, so I hope to see more of the same from her in this one. Down Comes the Night. It says, love makes monsters of us all. All I know is this is like a true gothic dark academia romance, and I cannot wait. Those are like my favorite books to read. Oh, the drama and the vibe that they give, so good. Defy the Night by Bridget Kemmer. I would do anything for this woman. I loved her Cursebreaker series this past year so much, and I've heard nothing but good things about this one. I had pre-ordered it, so this is like my exclusive Barnes & Noble edition pre-order, and I cannot wait to get sucked in. Similar-ish is Once Upon a Broken Heart. The premise of this one sounds so interesting. It is, it asks, how far would you go for happily ever after? She believed in love until it turns out the love of her life will marry another. So she strikes a deal with a charismatic but wicked Prince of Hearts, and it probably goes all downhill from there. Firekeeper's Daughter. This book I don't know anything about, but I believe it is YA. 18-year-old Adonis Fontaine is never quite fit in, both in her hometown on a nearby reservation as well. She dreams of a fresh start at college, but then there's some family tragedy striking. She meets someone on her brother Levi's hockey team, and they kind of go through life. It's a bit of a thriller too, apparently. This sounds like it includes everything I'm interested in reading about, and it's a little bit bigger, but I cannot wait for this one. The cover is stunning as well, just like stunning. Completely switching gears for the next two books. I have a copy of House of Leaves. This is marketed as a horror novel, but what really tied me in was the way that the story is told. It is told through various mixed media. So sometimes we have this, like, what is this? I don't know, but I can't wait. And then we have like text that's smaller. We have diagonal text, you know, recipes, an index. Holy cow. This I know is going to take me a long time, but I would love to do like a reading vlog while I read it. It looks incredible, and I've heard from a few people that I know personally it is a really good one. So maybe for next October for the spooky season. Another spooky book I would like to read is Imaginary Friend. This is the guy who wrote Perks of Being a Wallflower, and I just want to know how he can go from writing that to this book. It is jumbo, and it seems to be a scary book, and I've heard mixed things about this, but I'm just gonna go into it blind and see what I think. It's over 700 pages, so this one, maybe these are the only two books I read in October. And now onto my TBR cart, which I recently just redid to make it all look organized and pretty, and to make it make some sort of functional sense in my brain. So the first shelf, which I believe you can see with the way I have my iPad propped up against books, this first shelf is books that I think I might either learn something from, or I will, they will change me, essentially. Second shelf is romance and some other kind of random books. And then bottom shelf is some fantasy and some more of the books I anticipate to be a little more spooky or thrilling or psychologically crazy. So let's unpack my TBR cart. We'll start with the top with a good one. Malibu Rising. I have owned this since it first came out, and it swept Book Talk by storm. I read Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I was very interested in the storytelling aspect of it. I have Daisy Jones and the Six somewhere on this cart, so I'm really excited for this one too. I think that it seems to encompass such a pure summer vibe, and so I know I'll want to read it when it's cold in winter and I'm missing summer. The View was exhausting. I really don't know much about this one except for I have a friend on Book Talk who recommends it constantly, so I got it recently to try it out for her. And this, it seems like it feels like Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I mentioned earlier. But there's some romance, there's some drama, and it seems to follow a female actress in just the bustling Hollywood time, and I think that is, I love reading books about women who are so different than me, whether they're in a very different career field or they're at a different spot in society and things like that, and I anticipate this one's going to be so good. Let's get this out of the way right now. I've never read a Sally Rooney book, however I do own two because they're pretty covers. and I'm ridiculous. So I have Normal People and Beautiful World, Where Are You? All I know about Sally Rooney is that she writes characters who are kind of miserable, but like, aren't we all, you know? And she also doesn't use quotation marks. So I'm excited to like challenge my brain a teeny tiny bit and get through these books. And I know that this one's a TV show, so that might give me some motivation to read them. Such a fun age. Again, I truly don't know a lot about the books I buy. You can see TikTok's influence on my reading habits, but I do have this one. My Year of Rest and Relaxation. All I know about this is that hot girls read it, so I am going to read it. Another hot girl book, Eve's Hollywood by Eve Babbitt. Next we've got some nonfiction so that I can learn and hopefully feel a little bit smarter despite the fact of reading so many books and having no brain cells at all. Lady Killers. This one explores deadly women throughout history, and it says it dismisses easy explanations like she was hormonal, a man made her do it, and also other tired female tropes, and delves into the complex reality of female aggression and predation? I wish I knew how to read. So I'm gonna learn something this year. The 2000s Made Me Gay. This is essays on pop culture and growing up in the 2000s. I think that this will really hit. It even mentions Taylor Swift. I can't wait to learn. Trick Mirror. These are reflections on self-delusion. Not only does the cover scream beautiful and smart and hot, but I'm sure the inside does as well. Girlhood by Melissa Fabos. This is just about being a woman, examining narratives that women are told about what it means to be female and what it takes to free oneself from them. So it's gonna be an enlightening year. One more nonfiction I forgot to mention in my stack is John Green's The Anthropocene Reviewed. I actually listened to a little bit of this on an audiobook from my library, and I loved it, and I can tell that this is a book I will want to annotate all of it. So I got a physical copy of it to read this year. Women Talking. This gives me Handmaid's Tale vibes, which was one of my favorite books I read 2 years ago. Next itty bitty mini section is Greek mythology retellings. So I have Circe by Madeline Miller. A Song of Achilles was so good, chef's kiss, like So I'm excited about this one. And then we also have Piranesi. This one. Gives me similar vibes, and it has to do with the labyrinth and some good juicy Greek mythology retelling. Can you imagine that this is not actually that and it's just a completely different book and I don't know what I'm talking about? That'd be so embarrassing. So don't comment down below if I'm clueless. Just let me live in it. Thanks. Next up, the next shelf on this very full Tbr Cart. I have The Secret History and The Goldfinch, both by Donna Tartt. I've heard very mixed things, but overall genuinely good things about them, and enough to know that things I enjoy to read about will be in those books. So I'm excited for those, probably during like a fall season when Dark Academia is like really kicking off, you know. I also have Daisy Jones and the Six, which I mentioned before. Very excited to read. That one's told as like a podcast. So I might listen to the audiobook as I read it to really get the full experience. Writers and Lovers by Lilly King. Cover, truly beautiful. This takes place in the summer of 1997 in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and a 31-year-old who suffered a sudden loss and just seems to be figuring out what to do. Yeah, that sounds right up my alley, which is why I bought it. A Special Place for Women. This has a quote on the top by Emily Henry, which is truly all it took for me to buy it, because Emily Henry is my hero. This is about a secret women's society for New York City, really like rich women's social club, ooh la la type of thing. And it said that last time Rihanna was in town, she stopped by and got her aura read, so that sold me. That sounds so good. But then a journalist decides she's gonna break into the club and get the juicy scoop and kind of write about it. So who honestly knows what this one's where it's gonna take me, but I am buckled up, ready to go. A Song Below Water, the little blurb inside the cover says, A Song Below Water is the story for today's readers. A captivating modern fantasy about black mermaids, friendship, and self-discovery set against the challenges of today's racism and sexism. Sounds like a book everyone needs to read. Can't wait to read this one. I say way too many times. Ugh. Next up, we just have a ton of the cartoon cover romance books. Something you may not know about me. I love those. They are one of my favorite discoveries of 2021. So I have quite a few I've collected. I have To Love and to Loathe, which takes place in the ye olden times. English high society. Gives me Bridgerton vibes. The Kissing Game, which is a romance. That's, oh my gosh, I know. The main character, the male main character is 6'6". So I'll let you know about this one. Can you tell by all these stickers I go to Barnes & Noble? Like, too much. Hey, Barnes & Noble. It Happened One Summer and Second First Impressions. These are some book talk classics that I'm excited to read. Actor H.E. Brown, I've heard nothing but beautiful, wonderful, and delicious things about this book. I've read some of the other Brown Sisters trilogy books by Talia Hibbert, and ooh, I just know this one will be incredible. The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang, not to be confused with the Hating Game. I thought they were the same book for a very long time, but this one actually sounds good. No offense to the Hating Game, but I'm really excited about this one. We've got so much diversity in a lot of these books, which again, I mentioned, that's something I want to focus on as a reader and as a consumer. Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. I've heard that a lot of people cry at this one, so sign me up. An Heiress's Guide to Deception and Desire, Their Partners in Crime and Enemies in Love. That checks all my boxes. That's all I need to know, so I have it. I'm gonna read it. And then The Light We Lost, which I am 95% sure this will make me cry. It just gives that vibe. Who knows what it's about? But I got this for $1. So, yay. You will learn throughout this channel that I love book sales, and I love used books, and it's negatively affected my bank account. We are one shelf away from being done. Yes. So, this is my mix of fantasy / thriller / mystery, maybe? I don't quite know. The first one is All of Us Villains. This was marketed and kind of brought up to me as Hunger Games, but everyone's magical and everyone's evil. And I would love to root for some evil villains this next year. That sounds just so cool. Next up are 4 fantasies. Now, I must preface this with I am not the biggest fantasy reader. I read a few books this year that are in my top favorites that were fantasy, but I tend to like YA fantasy where it's mostly real world mixed in with a little bit of fantasy. But this year I want to try and step out of my comfort zone and try some fully dived in fantasy, if that makes sense. So I have a few fantasy books here. Who knows if they are mostly real world, a little bit of fantasy, or all fantasy. I'll let you know when I read them. But I have The Ninth House by Leah Bardugo. This one, Stephen King says it's the best fantasy novel he has read in years. It's crazy he's so old and his eyes still work to read, but good for him. The Night Circus, I've seen so many people rave about. I was shocked to find it's an older book, actually. And I mean, that statement is so relative because I think it came out in, I was alive when it came out, so it's not that. 2011. To have a resurgence on the internet, good for The Night Circus. And then I have 2 books by V.E. Schwab. I have A Darker Shade of Magic and Vicious. I've seen a lot of hype going around for this one and I'm really excited to try it out. These give me just like the darker wizarding vibes that I think are really interesting to read about. So hopefully my adventure into more fantasy is successful with these. This one is beautiful and I've had it for quite some time and I have not really cracked it open, so feeling a little guilty about this one. But this is by J.J. Abrams, you know, like the movie guy, right? And Doug Dorst. This is, who knows what this is called? It's got an S on it. And then here it says Ship of Theseus. Theseus, yeah. So the way that this book works, if you haven't seen it yet, it is supposed to look like an old library book. And, oh, it's so cool. My foot is so asleep, it hurts. Okay. So it looks like this. Like, it straight up looks like an old library book. And the the draw for reading this book is that all of the pages are annotated and there are things that are like left in the library book from various people who have borrowed the book. So you get to kind of go on a journey with these two people who read the book and interact with each other in the pages. As I said before, I really discovered like what I like to read about and like voices of writing and all of these types of things when it comes to reading. And so these are books I genuinely think I'm going to enjoy. This is The Whisper Man. There's a sudden death. This man's going on a fresh new start. There's a serial killer around in the town he just moved to. And he was caught 20 years ago, but now they think the serial killer's coming back, or maybe it's someone else. Ooh, love a good serial killer moment. Shout out to Criminal Minds for shaping my brain at a too young of an age. The Only Good Indians, it describes it as seamlessly blending classic horror and a dramatic narrative with sharp social commentary. Sounds like a very engaging read. The Hunting Party. I've never read anything by Lucy Foley, so this seemed a good place to start. One of my more liked authors this year was Grady Hendrix, and I say that sort of surprised because I tend to lean towards female authors. I think it's easier for me to relate to them, and men written by women for the female gaze is so vastly different than a man writing a woman for the male gaze. So I tend to gravitate more towards female authors. Just something you should know about me. But Grady Hendrix, holy moly, his books have been rocking my world lately. So I have the Final Girl support group, not to be confused with The Final Girls by Riley Sager. I hear that this one's the better of the two, so shout out to Grady. I'm really excited. I really like how Grady writes female characters, and I think he writes them in such a way that makes it feel realistic and not just that I am reading a book by someone who only occasionally talks to women, if you catch my drift. So no shade, but this one sounds really good. And then back to female authors. This is All's Well, Mona Awad. I read Bunny this past year, and Bunny was a truly wild read. I recommend it to everyone just because it's like, you read it and you're just like, what? So this was in 2021, so this was this year, so this is most likely her most recent, and I cannot wait to see what kind of crazy concoctions Mona comes up with in this book. The Girls Are Also Nice Here. This one goes about a woman who graduated college. She's living her life, but then the 10-year reunion for college comes up, and it brings up a bunch of secrets, blah, blah, blah. I love books that take place where the person goes back to college for their reunion. I've read quite a few of them actually this past year, so I'm excited for this one. And then last on my very, 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 very long TBR list for 2021, nope, 2022, is The Ballerinas. I just purchased this one. I just purchased a few of these the other day, actually. But what really got me about this was it says that the Ballerinas explores the complexity of female friendship, the dark drive towards physical perfection in the name of artistic expression, the double-edged sword of ambition and passion, and the sublimated rage that so many women hold inside, all culminating in a twist you won't see coming with magnetic cast of characters you won't soon forget. Whoever wrote that blurb needs a raise because it worked and I bought it. It sounds incredible. And there it is, my highly anticipated TBR list for 2022. I am so excited for a new year, and I hope that you have a great last few days of 2021. Make it a good one. Enjoy any and all books that you are reading. Bye!